All right, all right. Positive energy all the time. Much respect to all my people on Facebook, everybody on Kick, everybody on Twitch, and everybody on YouTube. Okay, let's get it. You know, when I'm representing Chicago, Illinois, we got La Crosse, Wisconsin in the building. We got LA in the building, but living in Chicago. Everybody knows LA is my second home. We got the great Buffalo, New York in the building. You better know it's XYZ. You better know it. You better know it's XYZ. Don't get it twisted. So we up early this morning, getting ready to talk about FBA culture. Okay. FBA culture. We have the great Philadelphia in the building. Everybody know Philly strong. Philly strong. Philly is strong. Okay? Don't play with Philly. Don't play with Philly. Okay? Philly strong. Chicago got a lot of strong brother cities. Philly, Detroit. Them hardcore black cities. Philadelphia's hardcore. Philadelphia's a hardcore black city, I tell you for sure. Louisiana's in the building, okay? Chicago and Louisiana always battling over who got the best food. You know what I'm saying? Every time they discuss who got the best food, the two that always be at the top is Chicago and Louisiana. That show you Louisiana ain't no joke when it comes to the food. Because for Louisiana to be battling with Chicago, you know they got some good food. You know they got some good food for them to be battling with us all the time. You already know. I think the only way we would be able to beat Louisiana out is variety. Because their location would pretty much, have their food geographical, right? That would be the only way we would beat them out. Chicago's got a lot of more whites as far as like Germans, Italians, Greeks. So that's why we beat a lot of people out because you could go to the Greeks and get Greek food. You can go to the Italians and get Italian food. You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason we be there because this is a multicultural city and you have a lot of ethnic groups and you can go to them and really get the food. You don't have to go to a Chinese restaurant. You could go to Chinatown and it hit different in Chinatown. The Chinese food is different in Chinatown than it is at a Chinese restaurant in the hood. Who else is in here? I like those competitions are great for all the cities though. Great. I can't wait till my book tour till I get to go to all these cities and hang out with all my subscribers and all the brothers and sisters in different cities, all the rappers in different cities. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be exciting. See all the beautiful ladies in different cities. That's always great. Yeah. So, I don't hate Africans or blacks from the Caribbean. That would be ridiculous. I don't. But I feel like in terms of greatness, I feel like Black Americans are the greatest based on the level of separation from the diaspora, based on what we actually had to do to get where we are. I believe we had the most difficult route. And I believe that our accomplishments in the United States is because so much of our stuff, our inventions were stolen. So when you see our success, it's because America stole from us and built a great America, and we are here. It's not because they built it. It's because they stole inventions from us. Many hundreds of inventions. They had free labor. And so when you look at how great America is, you got to understand we built it. We have more to do with America than white Americans. Black Americans have more to do with the success of America than white Americans, based on free labor, based on the thousands of inventions that they took and patent from slaves and from blacks that didn't have any rights. If foundational Black Americans owned all our patents, there would be no people on the planet richer than us. That's a fact. If foundational Black Americans had our patents, there would be no nation on the planet richer than us. All nations would be paying us because they're all using our patents for their trains, their planes. We built all of that. Africa is using our patents. Facts. You got carburetors in your cars? We invented that. We invented the automobile. Not Henry, not Ford. Ford didn't do that. The airplane. We invented that. Way before the Wright brothers. They stole the brothers' plane. He shipped his plane to the World Fair. It came up missing. Next thing you know, the Wright brothers had a plane. Isn't that something else? When you look at the people in the belly of the beast, when you look at Africa and you look at the people colonizing the brothers and sisters in Africa, but they at home. When you look at the people taken from Africa and Haiti and in the Caribbean, they're under slavery, but they're in warm climate. They're in tropical climate that people with brown skin would be used to. So if you look at the brown people that ended up in the worst situation, it would be us. Even when you look at the black Americans that say they Native Americans, they wasn't Native Americans in Wisconsin in the winter. They wasn't in New York in the winter. They wasn't in Chicago in the winter. Not like that. It might be a handful, but this wouldn't have been a choice climate. We don't like cold weather. If we liked cold weather, we would still like cold weather. And we don't like cold weather means we never like cold weather. And if we never like cold weather, you think we lived in cold weather? We probably came here in the summer. But soon as fall came, we got the hell out of here. That's just common sense. Everybody know black people wasn't in no snow. We don't like snow. We can't ice skate that good. We don't do skiing. We don't do sled bob and we don't do none of that. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me black people do winter sports. We don't do winter sports. America doesn't win none of these wars without us. Without us, the British own this country. Right now, I tell any white American to his face. Without black Americans fighting in a revolutionary war, they lose tremendously. This is all facts. So, I was watching my brother Pharaoh El-Aton. Y'all go follow Pharaoh El-Aton. Tell him I sent you over there. I really wasn't watching him when he had hooked up with young Pharaoh and started going at the Nation of Islam. That was a little too close for home for me. I'm cool with criticizing the Nation of Islam, but only to a certain degree. I'm definitely against criticizing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad too much. Rest in peace if he's not here, or if he's on the wheel, then much respect. But he's not present, so, and he's much older, born in the 1800s. And so, yeah, I wasn't really feeling that. But that wasn't Pharaoh El-Aton. That was him associating with young Pharaoh. But Seti's always been my brother. As a matter of fact, I got to go up to Detroit and talk to Seti to find out if he's my relative. Because he could be my relative. So I got to go find out because I had a bunch of great uncles in Detroit. My grandmother and all her uncles was in Detroit. And they had children, and their children have children. So I got to see if Seti is family. Because it's a very high possibility that he is related to my grandmother. High possibility that somebody got married. That somebody got married. Seriously. I got to talk to him about that. So what I decided to do, because they're saying, some Africans saying we don't have any culture. Okay? Now, to the brothers and sisters from Africa, listen to me and listen to me good. It is not possible for brothers and sisters from Africa to speak on our culture. I'm going to repeat, it is totally impossible. Totally impossible. Totally impossible for brothers and sisters from Africa to speak on the culture of foundational Black Americans. I'm the only one going to break this down where it's undisputable. Foundational Black Americans have been here for hundreds of years. What would Africans know about our culture? If you're an African and you came here 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what do you know about foundational Black Americans culture? Let's break it down. The most significant wave of African immigrants to the United States occurred in the late 20th century and early 21st century, particularly during the 1990s and the first 2 decades of the 2000s, while there was some immigrations before 1980 and a notable increase between 1980 and 1989, the majority of African immigrants arrived after 1990. Over half of Black immigrants in the U.S. arrived after the year 2000. So most Africans and Black immigrants arrived after the year 2000. Now, look, if you got here in 2000, what would you know about Black culture? Nothing. What do you know about foundational Black American culture in the roaring 20s, in the 1800s, in 1940, in 1950, in 1960, in the 70s, in the 80s? Nothing. If most of you Africans got here after 2000, you didn't see our culture. You wasn't here. And then I don't understand you brothers from Africa. All you got to do is search and you'll see our culture. You see this, brother? Show me anybody that dressed and looked like that before that. This is foundational Black American culture. White people wasn't doing this. Asians were not doing this. Africans were not doing this. Caribbeans were not doing this like this. The only ones doing this like this was foundational Black Americans. Nobody was doing hip hop like this, rap like this. Nobody was rapping like this. They invented this whole look. There was no look like this before Run DMC. None. And this was built off of Black hustlers on the streets that were hustlers in American culture. So let's take Jamaicans at that time. If you've seen Jamaicans in that era, they were emulating American culture because they didn't look the same way as Jamaicans in Jamaica. Jamaicans didn't start looking like Jamaicans in Jamaica until the 1997, 98. Around 97, 98, they was traveling a little more back and forth and they went more heavy Jamaican culture. They began to dress like Jamaicans at the dance hall in Jamaica. But we did not dress the same. Even when we went to the same parties, even when I went to the dance hall clubs, if you would have seen me, you would have known I'm not Jamaican. I had a total different swag. Even if I put on the Ballys and the Kango, everything was put together totally different. Black Americans, we've always had our own style. Okay? You all listen to me. I'm going to give you the facts. This is going to be fire. Okay? So let me give you an example. During the era when I was going to a lot of reggae joints and playing reggae music and going to all the dance halls and going to the Wild Hair and going to Club Dread and all that, you could always tell my culture with the dreadlocks, Haile Selassie, the whole Rasta, whole yacht. But I was always a foundational Black American Rasta. I had my own foundational Black American style. All my brethren will tell you that. The Rastas and the Jamaicans at the dance hall, the rude boys, the hustlers, they drove Maxima, Beamers, and Benzes. That's what they drove in the mid to late 90s. Maxima, Benz, BMW. What did I drive? I drove Cadillac. When you see me drive up, you already know I'm not a yard man because I got my own culture. I was not doing Jamaican culture. I was doing Black American Rasta culture, building my own identity. I don't even represent as an Ethiopian. I represent as an Egyptian, as from Kemet. My name is Pharaoh. That's foundational Black American culture. The only Blacks in the world that got Egyptian names is foundational Black Americans. Sarah Sadi, Young Pharaoh. I can go on and on. That's our identity. We never call ourselves Ross. We call ourselves Pharaoh. We call ourselves Sadi. You understand? The license plate still say Ja Rules, but I'm riding on Dayton's, Ford or Cadillac, Black American stuff. Brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, as you see here, their immigration was from the 60s to the 90s. So they were here before the Africans. The Africans didn't come till mostly 2000. Some came in the 90s, but the Africans didn't come here till the 2000s. So the Africans would know nothing. They wouldn't know nothing about Black culture. They wouldn't know anything about FBA culture. How? Africans wasn't here for this type of culture. Africans wasn't here from that. This is foundational Black American culture. Nobody did this but people in America. this entire look, even though the hair is straightened and blonde, they're not wearing it like white women. They're not dressed like white women. White women don't got them big chains on. White women ain't standing like that. White women ain't posing like that. This is foundational Black American culture. Even if they are not 100% foundationally Black, this culture was created here on our turf. This is Black American culture. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. So if Africans got here in 2000 and after, what do they know about this? Nothing. You would have to be here to speak on our culture. How can you speak on our culture when you didn't get here to 2000 and our culture go all the way back? As far as modern culture goes all the way back to the early 1900s. Africans, you didn't get here till 2000. What do you know about this look? White men did not dress like this. Africans did not dress like this. Hispanics, Asians did not dress like this. This is foundational Black American culture. And we've done all different types. We've dressed 1,000 different ways. Because some brothers will see this and say, oh, man, this is just one style out of hundreds. We never stuck with nothing. You know, sometimes brothers say, we need to go back to that like something is. No, we do what we do. We go from that and we go to this. Foundational Black American culture, Superfly. Superfly, the Mac. That is foundational Black American culture. The music, the clothes, the women, the whole swag. Now, I don't need to be on no panels or nothing with them. All I need to do is put the information out there and people can chop it up and you can chop it up and argue with them. The facts speak for themselves. What do Africans, were Africans here doing Superfly? So how are you going to get here in 2000 and say we don't got no culture when we've had 40 to 100 different styles before you got here? Before Africans got here in 2000, foundational Black Americans, we had 200 to 300 different styles. We would have 2 to 3 different styles in 1 year. We would flip. What do they know about the Supremes, the Temptations, Smokey? What do they know? They say we don't have no culture. Well, what is Motown? What is the sound of Philadelphia? Culture is music, right? Music is a part of culture. What is R&B? What is jazz? What is blues? Culture. So brothers and sisters from Africa are making themselves look very unintelligent. They're making themselves look bad. They're making themselves look very unintelligent and jealous. That's what they're making themselves look really bad. Because experts will look at them and people that are experts in culture will be like, what the hell are they talking about? What do you mean they don't have no culture? We have more of a variety of culture than any one country in Africa. Africa has a lot of culture because it's different tribes. But you can't pick no one country in Africa that changed. They basically wear the same thing for decades, for generations. They don't flip it like we flip it. They don't do this and that and that. They don't do that. And so they don't know what culture is. But this is culture. And this is Black, foundational Black American culture. There is no one that ever looked like this but us. There was no Africans with the afro, with the beret, with the leather jackets. Not one African tribe, not no people in the world dressed like this or looked like this. To the point you can show this look anywhere and they say Black Panthers. How is that not culture? If you show me the Maasai anywhere, I say Maasai. Right? That's culture. If you show me these brothers anywhere, everybody's going to say Black Panthers. Well, if everybody can identify this as Black Panthers, isn't that culture? I'm confused. This looks like culture to me. I'm confused. Because I can swear that looks like culture. I'm confused. It looks like culture to me. How is Soul Train not a culture? How is Soul Train and the whole look on Soul Train not a culture? And they say, how could you prove this is a culture? Because Soul Train started in Chicago, Illinois. And then it went to LA. And if you showed anybody from our era this picture and say, which Soul Train is it? They would say LA. Because when Soul Train went to LA, they didn't dress like they dressed when they was in Chicago. Soul Train in LA, in California, was a very specific culture. They created their own look. No, it's not to play in our face. Listen, nobody can play in your face if you know your own history. Okay? And so if you know your own history and they say you don't got no culture, you'll laugh. You'll laugh. You'll be like, get your ass out of here. If a Black African told me we don't have no culture, I wouldn't want to argue with him. I would just look at him as a dummy. I would look at him, you're a dummy. Yeah. What year did you get here? That's probably, if I said something, I'd be like, what year did you get here? If he said I got here in 2015, what did we dress like in 1990? Okay, I rest my case. You just got here. Africans, you just got here. Culture is decades, sometimes centuries. Africans are not qualified to speak on culture because they haven't been here. Listen, JP, you're getting too emotional. They not swagger jacking our style because we don't keep the same style. Listen, bruh. You're messing up the chat too. That's enough in the chat. Let somebody else. Because you're giving people the wrong information. Please be quiet. Don't listen to him. He's giving you the wrong information. I'm showing you how could they jack our style when our style changes. They're not jacking our style. They might be jacking something that we're doing now, but they cannot jack our culture. You understand? Because our culture constantly changes. We constantly make up new stuff. We're constantly doing something different, is my point. Okay? We're constantly doing something different. We've had styles upon styles upon styles upon styles. So Africans are not jacking our culture because our culture isn't stagnant. We have no stagnant culture. Foundational Black Americans are always changing it up. These shorties out here, if you go look at them right now, go back and look at them 5 years. They ain't gonna look like that. If you look at young rappers now and look at young rappers 7 years ago, they don't look nothing alike. They ain't even rapping nothing alike. The rap changes every 5 or 6 years. Okay? Some of y'all are caught up with who like you or whatever, and you're ruining the conversation. Please be mature. Okay? Especially if you're a man. So if you're a man and you're over here and you're crying, it's not a good look. Listen to the lecture. Calm down. Don't bring your foolishness from your arguments. Don't bring it over here, please. I'm trying to ask you nicely. Please don't bring the goofy stuff you've been arguing over here. Listen to what I'm saying. That's it. Ride with what I'm saying. Don't bring your baggage that you've had from arguing with Africans over here and ruin my chat. Listen and learn. This is so you won't be acting like you are. There's no need for you to be trying to prove a damn thing. Okay? There's no need. Let that go and listen to don't bring the FBA immigrant war over here in the middle of my discussion and ruin my discussion. Okay? Don't ruin my discussion with that. Wait, go back and do that somewhere else. Okay? Because you're ruining the discussion with foolishness that's not on subject with what I'm saying. They don't like us. What do that have to do with me documenting FBA culture? Show me what that has to do with this discussion. Who likes you and who don't? Where does that fit in with what I'm saying? Or do you just want to talk and you don't want to listen and learn? Because if you just want to type and you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, let me know so I can get you out of here. Just let me know if you don't want to listen to what I'm saying and you want somebody to read what you're saying. Because I don't want you saying nothing that's going to distract my audience. I'm going to get you out of here so other people can listen and learn. Okay? So let's take this. There were no Africans looking like this, even though it was called the afro. Foundational Black Americans created the afro. That is a fact. This afro was created by us. That's an absolute fact. A historical fact. If somebody say prove it, because it didn't start like this, it wasn't the afro. It was called the natural look. And the natural was a short one, tight to your head. It was called the natural. And so when the natural came out, I went and asked my mother, could I get a natural? And she said no. And I kept asking her, and she let me get a natural. It was called the natural look. That's what it was called. It was called the natural look originally. Okay? It wasn't the afro. It was called the natural look. Okay? That's what it was called. The natural. And the natural was very close to the head. Okay? So the natural looked more like this. The brother, the fourth brother back. These brothers are starting to get into the afro in the front, but the fourth brother back, it was a very short, tight to the head. It was called the natural. And then they got the bigger picks and they got the blow dryer and then they puffed it out to this. Okay. But originally it was called the natural look. It was short. It was real tight to the head. Okay. It was short and tight to the head. And it was a long time before they got the afro and they started to really pick it out. The afro came in because people like Angela Davis and stuff like that were very light skinned and had soft hair. So the ones that were light skinned and had the soft hair, theirs would be out there, and that became a style. But it started out the natural look and it went into the afro. Once again, foundational Black American culture. Okay? So don't let nobody tell you that you don't have a culture. Your culture is old and has changed a lot. Okay? Your culture is old and has changed a lot. Okay? So don't let nobody tell you you don't have a culture. You have a long culture that changes often. Okay? Many styles and many things your ancestors have created. Many, many. Just like me from the fourth grade to the eighth grade, foundational Black Americans, you had 5 styles. You had the bush. The bush was when you would cut the sides off and have the top go up like that. That was before the natural look. It was called the bush. And you would cut the sides and then you would leave the top and you would grow it up as high as you can. Like a high top fade, but cut at an angle. That was called a bush. That was before the natural. Then the afro. Facts. It would be cut straight up with the sides cut off. That's when I was in the 5th grade. The older boys got that. And then the natural came out. And then that natural turned into the afro. These is all facts. All within, just like that. And so people, when they come and tell you you don't have no culture, you shake your head. Because you got more culture. Let me tell you something. There's hardly nobody that can do all the black dances that you came up with. I see one lady and her daughter do a lot of them. But you know how good you would have to do all the dances that black people did? Just, you could start late. You could just start from 1990 to 2010. I bet you can't do all the dances. Black Foundation Black Americans, you come up with dance like this. Like this. You come up with dances like this. How many dances you had before and after the Cabbage Patch? I don't know. You come up with dances like this. You come up with clothes styles like this. Foundational Black Americans are the leaders of culture. You are the leaders of culture. No one on this planet is as cultural as Foundation Black Americans. You took a Cadillac and did this. Foundational Black Americans put them wheels on this side of the front of that car. That's a fact. Foundational Black Americans did this. Listen, who else would do this to a car? It ain't nobody on the planet, not no sheiks and no Arabs, no Jamaicans, or nobody would do this but us. Cadillac was going out of business. And foundational Black Americans saved it. Facts. Nobody gonna tell you the facts. Foundational Black Americans saved Cadillac. Go look it up. I ain't gonna show the whole article. What did it say? Did African American car buyers save Cadillac in the 1930s? Yes. 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 Look it up. Go look it up. Because I don't want to slow this down, but look it up. The man was going out of business. Foundational Black Americans saved Cadillac. When you say Cadillac, you say foundational Black American. Like I told y'all. So when the Jamaicans had all them BMWs and stuff, my roots and culture, what I went and got. I said, I'm not finna get no car like the other rosters, like the Caribbean rosters. I'm gonna get that Black American look. So I went and got the Cadillac and put Ja Rules on mine. I didn't get the Beamer and the Maxima and thing there, man. I mean, I do that. Man, I get the Beamer. Man, I get the Benz. I get the lack, boy. I get the lack because I wanted to, when I drive up, even though I got dreads, even though I'm a roster, I want everybody to know, now I'm my own roster. I ain't one of y'all type rosters. I'm foundational Black American roster. That's why I never spoke with no accent or none of that. I could do it, but I never did that. When I was around all the Jamaicans, they'll tell you I was always like this. I was always representing foundational Black Americans. I was Black folks in America. I was y'all roster. So y'all say, we got a roster. We got a roster too. Yeah, we got a roster. Y'all ain't the only one got a roster. You know what I'm saying? I swear to God, that's what I was on. I was my own roster. I wasn't nobody else's roster. So when people say, and then I had my own swag too. All right, make no mistake about that. You could have seen me. This is me with Hurt 'Em Bad that did them songs with Tupac. You see what kind of roster I was? See the difference? I was a four-corner hustler roster. I was a gang roster. Okay, on the guys. You see the guy roster I was? I don't look like no Jamaican, do I? I look like a different, like I made up my own roster. On the guys, it hit different. It hit different. I was a different type of roster. I was a different type of roster. Jamaicans didn't really play with me like that. because this ain't Jamaica, this Chicago, and you're kind of limited. And even though I'm a Rasta, I grew up with these niggas, and they're gonna do you dirty because they don't know me as Pharaoh. They know me as Stu. And if Stu gambling, go to the hood and say, hey man, there's some Jamaican dudes tripping. They're gonna be like, for real, Stu? Well, you like that? And you ain't got no wins. And you're gonna have to leave, and we're gonna be singing, go back to Jamaica. So you couldn't really play with me, not on this turf, not in Chicago. You must have lost your man. Okay? So don't let nobody tell you we don't have no culture. We been had culture. I went to prom. I went to a school that was white and black. There was white seniors there, and there was black seniors there. They wore tuxedos. I wore a tailor-made suit. This is foundational Black American culture. Look at me in my date. That's not a tux. That's some gangster stuff. That suit got custom made. That was my own material. When everybody took their tuxedo back, this went in the closet. You understand? Foundational Black Americans in Chicago, we was wearing tailor-mades. We was wearing tailor-made suits. No, I went to Luther South, where Common went, because my parents didn't want me to be in no gang, so they sent me to a Lutheran school to save me. But when they sent me to the Lutheran school and I was so hood, and I was a freshman, I met all these white boys that had all the work. And because I was an entrepreneur, an opportunist, I was able to come back to the hood with stuff. I was able, you know what I'm saying? It backfired because you know what I'm saying? Because I was like a little young gangster and I'm a freshman, little Stu Gambler, my dice in my pocket, I get to the school, I look different, I move different. I'm dressed like the seniors. So the black seniors like, come here, little nigga. Where you get that made at? Man, I got this at Edie's, man. Oh, but Edie's and Rosen. Oh, okay. You go to Rabs? Nah, I get my stuff at Edie's. I get my stuff at Albert's. Oh, okay. But don't worry about where I got my clothes at. What these dice do? What these dice do? What the dice do? That's what I'm telling the seniors. They're like, little nigga, go to class. Now, don't worry about what I do. Let me go take your money. Don't worry about that. So the white dudes, the older white dudes, they see me too. They're like, hey, guy. Yeah, you. Come here. What up, though? Get in. I jump in the car. They take me out to a house with 15 white dudes. I'm like Julius Caesar. I'm like the king of this bitch. They mystified. I was like a rapper. This like 1972. I was like a rapper. Rap wasn't even really doing. I was like a rapper back then. But that's neither here or there. That was Black American culture. Yeah, we're gonna work on that. That was Black American culture. Don't let nobody tell y'all ain't got no culture. Y'all been had culture. That's why I'm telling you all this. I'm a part of your culture. We have culture. We've always have culture. We were the ones that blew up Converse back in the 60s and the 70s. We was the one everybody had stars. We called them stars. Like, man, I got me some stars. This is before Dr. J went to the NBA. This is when he was in the ABA. Before the leather Converse, this was foundational Black America used to wear stars. That's what we used to call them, stars. Some blacks called them Chuck Taylors in California, but in Chicago, we call them stars. Right? We call them stars. I told my mom I was a little boy. I probably like in the 5th grade. I said, Mom, I want some stars. She said, okay. She came back with me some red, white, and blue shoes she got from like Community. Like one of these little stores. Some red, white, and blue shoes with, so like red and blue with white stars all over them. I was mad as hell. I like, these ain't no stars. She said, you say you want stars, so she bought me shoes with stars all over. I had to figure something out. We used to bleach our clothes. If you put too much bleach, you rip them. So I threw them in the washing machine and put a whole bunch of bleach and washed them. And then I took them out and I went, Mom, my shoes tearing up. She said, what happened? I don't know. It might have been some bleach in the washer. She said, oh, I got to get you some more. Mama, get stars this time. Mama, get Converse All-Stars. Don't buy them no more. Or they might end up with the same fate. You know, them might get too much bleach too. I didn't say that part, but she would have got me some stars. I went to school like, yeah. If you didn't wear these to school, you could get some Coaches. Coaches was like bootleg stars. This is foundational Black American history. You do have culture. This was Black American culture. In LA, the OGs still wear these. In LA, this is All-Star Converse sneakers. It's foundational Black American culture. White dudes wore PF Flyers. They didn't wear stars. Real culture. I'm doing this for the young Black people to know, so you won't be arguing, listening to fool talking about you ain't got no culture. Anybody tell you ain't got no culture, they sound like a fool. They sound like a fool. Don't argue with nobody like that. They just showing you they from Africa. They don't know nothing. What the hell do they know? They from Africa. Look, what you mean you ain't got no culture? Don't you see them dunking in some stars with a big old afro? This ain't foundational Black American culture. Yamming on everybody. Who invented dunking on everybody? Foundational Black Americans made the dunk popular. That's culture. We created the whole culture that's in basketball today. We created the basketball culture like it is today. These are facts. We created all the swag in sports. This is a fact. I'm trying to show young foundational Black Americans, y'all stop listening to people that just got off the boat. They don't know what they talking about. The Mexicans had cars and was fixing their cars up. But the Mexicans didn't have no donks. They was lowriders. They wasn't doing this. This is foundational Black American culture. They was making their car low to the ground. We was putting big old wheels on the car. Black folks in America started that. Mexicans was not doing this. This is a fact. This is foundational Black American culture. That is a fact. That is a fact. The box Chevy on the big wheels is not Mexican. Making the car bounce, that's Mexican. The Mexicans did the hydraulics. These cars don't bounce. These cars, we don't bounce cars. Mexicans bounce cars, and people in California bounce cars. We don't bounce cars in Detroit, in Cleveland, and Chicago. Because it's snow, it's slick, And we got some big old tires, and if it bounce, it's going to hit up under there. You can't bounce this with these big tires on. You can't drop this with these tires. You got to have little tires to drop it. You got to have Dayton's. You can't do that with this. This is strictly foundational Black American culture. This car don't do nothing but just drive. This car don't bounce. That's Mexicans. Mexicans brought in the tattoos and the cars on hydraulics. I give everybody their respect. Mexicans bought the car game and the hydraulics game. That's Mexicans. Shout out to all my hombres out there. They don't want to put them little tires on so it could lean and stuff. This is what the black folks did, put some big old wheels on their car. That's why I'm showing you dunks. We not bouncing our car because it's going to tear up the sound system. We got some big old wheels in there, and you can't get nothing in the trunk because it's a big-ass sound system and the car rattling from the music. That's foundational Black American culture. Mexicans didn't have their car rattling. You understand? Mexicans didn't have their car rattling. They trunk rattling. Now that's foundational Black Americans got the trunk rattling. Nobody's trunk was rattling until we did it. Mexican was driving around like okay. We got the trunk rattling. Got 15 inches in the back. You feel me? Rattling. We ride down the street. Do you want to ride in the backseat of me caddy? Jumping and we doing that. We rolling. We playing some other type of music. We playing some different music too. Yeah, we playing some different music. Yeah, we rolling. We playing some other stuff. We playing some whole different type of music too. And it's rattling. This is foundational Black American culture. How somebody gonna say we ain't got no culture? There go our culture right there. Who else gonna do a car like that? Now he probably got a little bit of where he can lift it up a little bit in the back, but it won't bounce. He ain't gonna bounce it. But he can lift the back up a little bit. He can lift the back up off of these wheels, maybe. He might not be able to. It might be leaning like that because of all the speakers and heavy stuff in the trunk. So I don't know if he got it where he can lift it a little bit, or if it's just like a lot of brothers, their back is leaning back because there's a bunch of stuff back there in the back seat and in the back. It's a bunch of equipment in there. That thing rattling. You understand? So when people say, you guys don't have no culture, come on, man, you're talking crazy. You're talking crazy. Okay? We got a lot of culture. We got street culture too. So if you're African, don't walk up on me talking crazy. Tell me I ain't got no culture, or I might have to show you we got a lot of different cultures. Yeah, we got a lot of cultures. We got a certain culture. We got a certain way we act outside too that we invented. That y'all wasn't doing that in Africa like that. And we got a lot of culture on 49th grade, on the guys, on everything I love. On the guys, what you tell them, Philadelphia got black folks, Foundation of Black Americans in Philadelphia got a culture. Listen, tell me that foundational Black Americans in Philadelphia don't have their own Islamic culture. They Islam ain't like everybody else Islam, is it? Tell me I'm lying. Philadelphia Black Islam is hit different. Am I lying? Ain't nobody gonna play with no Philly Muslim. It's different. It's like kind of a hood Muslim. Am I lying? It ain't no Islam in the world like Black Philadelphia Islam. They need to name it its own thing. Y'all ever seen Philly? Y'all ever seen Philly Muslims? Whew. That's some rough Islam right there. That is the roughest Islam in the world. On everything I love, that's the roughest Islam. I swear to God. It's so different. And it's blacker than black. That's what it's so. It's black. You know the difference. So how you gonna tell me we don't got no culture? Go to Philly and go in the hood and get some food. I bet you ain't nobody else make it like they gonna make it in Philly. I bet you everything. I bet you everything. If you go to little places where they make food, I bet you won't get that food like that nowhere else in the world. I guarantee you. A Philly cheesesteak in Philly probably hit totally different than anywhere in the world. Because Foundation of Black Americans got culture, boy, let me tell you. If you look at Philadelphia, tell me that's not a whole culture. The whole city is a culture. It don't look nothing like Chicago, LA, or New York. That's culture. How that's not culture? I'm glad Street Media TV came over here because Philadelphia is the perfect example. Tell me they don't got no culture. Philadelphia is a culture itself. Even the sound of Philadelphia was a culture. The sound of Philadelphia didn't sound like Motown. For those who know about old music, the sound of Philadelphia didn't sound nothing like Motown. The music was crazy fire. Man, listen, the sound of Philadelphia was a whole nother sound. The sound of Philadelphia made probably billions for music. I'm telling you. You take the sound of Philadelphia out of R&B, it's only half what it is now. That is anybody tell you that is an absolute fact. They always talk about Motown. They don't be give. They talk about Chicago a little bit, but they really talk about. But they don't give Philly no props for music like they should. Yes, Philadelphia was the first Renaissance before Harlem. I'm trying to tell them, bro. I'm trying to tell them. I'm trying to tell them. I'm trying to tell them they at Philadelphia, Harlem, Los Angeles, Chicago, all these places, New Orleans. How you gonna say we don't got no culture when all them places got cultures come out of them places? So many different styles, so many different ways we live. How you gonna say we don't got no culture? If you look at foundational Black Americans, we like a baby Africa. You know how Africa got different tribes in different countries? Man, what you think St. Louis, Philadelphia, Chicago, same thing. Texas blacks ain't like Philadelphia blacks. Not at all. When you go to Texas, you done went to another country. When you go to Philly, you're going to another country. When you go to New York, you're going to another country. When you go to Chicago, you're in another country. When you go to Detroit, you're in another country. This is a fact. You are in another country when you go to different places where Black Americans live. A whole nother country. How that's not culture? How could you talk and we know you from Chicago? Talk and we know you from New York. Talk and we know you from New Orleans if we don't got a culture. If we don't have a culture, then we would all talk the same way. What you mean we don't got no culture? Well, I know bro from Texas. Listen, y'all stop letting them lie about foundational Black Americans. Foundational Black Americans got culture that in every crack and crevice. But you don't argue with African because they don't know. How would they know? How would they know? They don't know nothing about all this I'm breaking down. They never thought about it. I prove it to you. I prove to you right now we got culture. Right now. I'm going to prove it live on YouTube that foundational Black Americans got culture. Watch this. Watch this. If we don't got culture, you can't answer this question. Where this car from? Where this car from? Because if we ain't got no culture, you would not know where this car is from. Where this car from? Texas. Okay. Everybody know that. So that ain't culture. That's not foundational. This is not foundational Black American culture. See what I'm saying? This is culture. This is culture. They don't got these in Africa. This is culture. Come on, man. I mean, right now I can rest my case. I've proven this. I've proven my point. Like, there's no need of me even going on. It ain't. Hey, you know what? After this picture, it ain't even worth me saying nothing else. I could have just showed this one picture. We got culture, and it would have been case closed. Because if this don't represent foundational Black American culture, I don't know what the hell do now. We got cultures, because this is Texas culture. This is foundational Black American Texas culture. Case closed. Don't y'all be arguing with them Africans, man. They just got here in 2000. Just tell them, bro, you just got here in 2000. You just got here. Don't y'all be arguing with nobody just got here or don't live here. He's somewhere in Angola. Tell you don't have no culture just because he got African stuff. They think just African stuff is culture. That ain't nothing else culture. You know what I'm saying? Slow as hell. You know what I'm saying? I got love for the brothers and sisters in Africa. Don't get me wrong. But my whole problem with Africa is, you know, I don't be wanting to argue with them because my attitude with them is, why you don't go and fix Africa? You know what I'm saying? You saw my African brothers just over here talking to me. Ain't you got work to do? Don't you need to go home and sweep? You know, make some shoes, build some houses, bathe the children. You know what I'm saying? So they don't be all dusty. I'm just saying. I'm just saying to Africans. Not all of your culture is cool. Some of your culture is tore up from the floor up and make me want to throw up. That's all. To my African brothers. Some of your culture is tore up from the floor up and make me want to throw up.